Happy February. Thanks for joining us today. We are going to talk about the month of love. That's kind of what people think of when they think of February. We do have a couple of other awareness weeks a month that we are going to share with you. Before we do that, though, I would like to talk a little bit about our upcoming events. We have support groups. They're still ongoing. They're still running. If you are not signed up with one of our apps, get a hold of Amanda at our office, because if we have delays, not delays, thinking of school brain, if we have cancellations of any groups of any kind, we usually chat that out through our apps. We will also update that on our social media and in our calendar on our website. So if you are a person that wants to attend or has regularly attended our support groups, be mindful of the weather and check those places out before you drive to one of our groups. So I wanted to mention that. We still have support groups running for family members, individuals living with mental health conditions, our men's group, and our LGBTQ plus support group. Peer-to-peer is getting ready to start. So if you or someone you know is living with a mental health condition and you'd like to connect with other people that are also living with a mental health condition, get signed up. This is a free course. It's starting in March, and you can sign up on our website. We might be dropping the link here at the bottom of this broadcast to sign up for all of these classes that I'm going to be talking about. We also have family to family, and this is for individuals that have a family member or a loved one, an adult loved one with a mental health condition. This is also starting in March. They are going to be running at the same time. And so, folks, if you want to travel with your loved one and one person goes to one room and the other person goes to the other room, we would love to have you join us. Again, this is a free course, and we are excited to have this in the spring. The last class that I want to talk about is Rep for Finances. So it's our Wellness Recovery Action Plan focused specifically on financial well-being. And if you would like a little bit more information about what this is, go to our last month News at 2. We talked a little bit more about financial wellness and more about what the Rep class entails when it pertains to finance, when it comes to our financial wellness. And this one will be virtual February 20th and 21st. So get signed up for that because it's coming up this week, right? Today's Tuesday. Yes, it's coming up this week, if I can math correctly. And so we are looking forward to having you join us if you are able. So that is enough from me for now. Like I said, we have a lot happening in February. This month is also American Heart Month, so I'm going to bring Bree on, and she's going to talk a little bit about American Heart Month. How you doing, Bree?
Living the dream, Jess.
Living the dream. I'm excited to hear about American Heart Month, so I'm going to remove myself so we can hear from you.
Works for me. So, American Heart Month is typically observed annually in February. Obviously, it's a time to raise awareness about heart disease, which is the leading cause of death in the United States, and is used to encourage people to take steps to improve your cardiovascular health. Um, Heart disease, super common in the United States. In 2022, 1 in every 5 deaths in the United States was caused by heart disease. I won't go too much into the details of heart disease and all of the things, but high blood pressure can be pretty common and puts people at risk. But I put a link in the comments called the ABCs of heart health. And so it goes through like some of the steps to manage your heart health and keep those things in mind. And then there are a couple different additional links in the comments. One thing that I think is something that's kind of neat to touch on during this time is that sometimes when people are experiencing panic attacks or things like that of that nature, it can feel really similar to a heart attack. So I do actually want to spend some time talking about the difference between a panic attack or a heart attack and what some of those things might look like. Chest pain, heart palpitations, shortness of breath, lightheadedness, nausea. It's hard to tell whether you're having a heart attack or a panic attack. These symptoms are so similar that it's really difficult to tell the difference. Heart attacks can be sudden and intense. Often, though, they start slowly with mild pain or discomfort that gradually worsens over a few minutes. These episodes might come and go several times before the heart attack actually occurs. A heart attack happens when the blood flow that brings oxygen to the heart muscle is severely reduced or cut off, usually by a blockage of coronary arteries. Calling 911 and getting immediate treatment is critical. But what do you do if a medical workup shows that your heart health is good? Then you might have had a panic attack, especially if intense fear, which is the hallmark symptom of a panic attack, is accompanied with those physical symptoms. It's not all in your head, it's your fight or flight response. Your alarm system is going off. When you're experiencing the emotion of stress, your body is engaging in that fight or flight response, and it might feel like your heart's going to beat just right out of your chest. You might be breathing so fast that you can't catch your breath, and it can be difficult to move because of your muscle aches. This physical response helps us defend ourselves against danger. It helps us keep ourselves alert, but it's not always the right time. Is it a bear, or am I just, driving down the road trying to be mindful of the ice patches? So that brain process of that fight or flight can raise our cortisol levels and impact that come down after feeling those high stress points. So what can you do? There is a vagal nerve that runs right through here. And so one of the things that can be good for a panic attack or to help reduce stress is just some light tapping here. Sometimes there's bilateral breathing where you tap back and forth either on your shoulders or on your lap to go across that nerve and just back and forth lightly, and it'll help calm that breathing and hopefully help come down after a panic attack. When in doubt, always seek help from a medical professional, but I think it's interesting to hear some of the differences between those two experiences so that we can be more aware of not only our heart health, but managing other symptoms that we might be experiencing as well. That's all for me. Back to you, Jessica.
Thanks, Bree. I appreciate you talking a little bit more about this. So I talked earlier in the broadcast that we are going to be sharing a lot about, just self-care and self-love, and the theme is love. So I wanted to know, how do you practice loving yourself or loving others?
That's a great question. And I've had some time to think about this. So I feel like one of my preferred ways of showing love to other people, I try really hard to listen. And so I love giving gifts. And so if I can find something where I know someone has maybe made a small comment about something they'd appreciate, or if I find something that really makes me think of somebody, that's my favorite way to show love. Just find something little so that people know I was listening and that I care enough about them to give them something special.
I like that. Well, thank you, Bree. I appreciate you sharing today more about American Heart Month, and I hope everybody keeps their hearts healthy. Thanks. Oh, I cut her off. I'm sorry, Bree. Next up, we're going to talk about Black History Month. If you don't know, February, we celebrate Black History Month, and Erin is going to talk a little bit more about the history of this and why we celebrate. Hey, Erin.
Hi there.
Hey, Erin might be a new face to you. I think you were in last month's broadcast, but she is one of our interns, so she is going to share now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. Yeah, exactly as Jessica said, February is also Black History Month. And basically what Black History Month is it's a month-long celebration to commemorate the various achievements that African Americans have had over the course of American history. And this, of course, is something that's ongoing, but February is just kind of a month that's dedicated to this specifically. How can you celebrate Black History Month yourself? So there's a lot of ways to engage in this. Specifically, the first that comes to mind for me is reading books by Black authors. I know I like to engage in poetry by Black authors and support that way. You can also educate yourself on African American history. So you can do this by going to African American museums. I did look up some research just to see which African American museums were nearby. The biggest one, I believe, is in Washington, D.C., and it's called the National Museum of American History and Culture. If you're ever there and wanting to learn more, kind of more nearby us, though, there's an African American Cultural and Historical Museum of Washtenaw. I might be saying that wrong. Washtenaw County, and that's in Ann Arbor, so right in Michigan, about an hour away from Bowling Green. And then there's the Charles H. Wright Museum, and that's in Detroit. So that's a great way to kind of get a hands-on experience learning about the African American culture and history. You can also promote Black History Month events and post on social media. So kind of reposting or just interacting with them, liking, commenting, that sort of thing is always much appreciated. You can also support Black-owned businesses. I know that we have various in Bowling Green, and depending on where you are, you can simply search up Black-owned businesses near me, and you'll get a variety of results if that's something that interests you. And then also something else that you can do is to educate yourself watching movies on Netflix or HBO Max, Hulu, whatever your preferred platform is, about African Americans, the history behind their culture, and just kind of learning more about it. And you can do that in the comfort of your own home by watching different films that way. And then also, as far as how African Americans' mental health relates to this month as we celebrate and commemorate them, I think it's important to note that in a study that was done, it was found that African Americans were found to be 20% more likely to experience severe forms of mental health conditions. And of course, it's really important that we break down the stigma for mental health concerning everybody, but more especially knowing the statistic that it does impact African Americans even more so. And so even greater support is needed to support African Americans through mental health resources and advocacy in general. But yes, happy Black History Month, and that's all for me.
Thank you so much, Erin. And as you heard me ask Bree, I was wondering, how do you practice loving yourself or others?
Oh, I love that question. Yeah, so I guess I'll kind of answer it a little bit differently than Bree did, but how I practice self-love for me personally, I really enjoy kind of looking forward to my future self and figuring out how I can best take care of my future. It's like little moments of, even if it's just picking out my outfit for the next day or doing an assignment early or just doing something in advance. I find that later on, I'm just like, oh, I love myself for that. It really helps me out.
I love that. Thank you so much, Erin. I appreciate you sharing.
Thank you.
So we have talked about self-love a few times, and I wanted to talk about the importance of self-love. Why is it important? So people that love themselves have more confidence, are more resilient, have better interpersonal relationships, and honestly more. They know from studies that self-love is comprised of 5 different components. It includes self-cherishing, self-acceptance, self-restraint, self-responsibility, and self-persistence. And so what does this mean? There are different ways that you can love yourself. And some of these can include setting boundaries. So not just setting the boundaries, but adhering to the boundaries for yourself, for others, and the way people interact with you. It can include positive self-talk. How many times have you made a mistake and you say, oh my gosh, are you an idiot? And you're talking negatively to yourself. So instead of talking so negatively to yourself, include more positive, like, hey, you did that. You can do hard things. Hey, everybody makes mistakes. So having grace with yourself and accepting that nobody's perfect, including ourselves. And so accepting that we're going to make mistakes as human beings. Another way that you can practice self-love is treating yourself and others with empathy. And so instead of that negative self-talk, I'm going to promote that positive self-talk. How would you talk to your best friend? So if you're going to talk to your best friend in a certain way and you don't want to treat them poorly, you should talk to yourself in the same way and treat yourself the same way. Being kind to yourself, putting your needs as a priority. So I'm not saying put yourself first, but there are times when you should put yourself first, but you should always prioritize your needs as well, not just be concerned about everybody else around you, but prioritize what you need in life, mentally, physically, emotionally. And then practice different activities that promote mental and physical well-being. So whether that's exercising every day for you because that's positive for your physical and your mental well-being and emotional well-being, or that drinking more water. So whatever those things are for you that can promote positive mental and physical well-being is ideal. And remember, balance is key. Like, we shouldn't just go in one direction and prioritize our own needs or go in one direction and promoting our own physical health while neglecting other parts. We need to strike a balance. So I think that that's important. And so these are different ways that you can practice self-love. One thing that I do for myself is I make it a priority to make time for myself. It doesn't always happen daily, but I try and make sure I do that a couple times a week. And so whether that's sitting down and sewing or reading or making sure I take a moment while I'm eating and not have any distractions around me, I make sure I just take a few moments for myself. So that's enough from me. I am going to turn it over to Amanda, and we're going to hear about National Eating Disorders Awareness Week. Hey, Amanda.
Hey, Jess.
I'm excited to hear what you have to share.
Yeah, so Eating Disorders Awareness Week is an annual campaign to educate the public about the realities of eating disorders and provide hope and visibility to individuals and loved ones impacted by eating disorders. This year, it takes place on Monday, February 24th, and goes through Sunday, March 2nd. On the National Eating Disorders Association, or NEDA website, there are a lot of great resources, including general information about eating disorders, where to find treatment providers in your area, how to help a loved one, and a short screening to determine if it's time to seek additional support or treatment for an eating disorder. One really interesting thing that I came across on their website is called 9 Truths About Eating Disorders. So I'd like to share that with you guys. Number 1, many people with eating disorders look healthy, yet may be extremely ill. Number 2, families can be individuals and providers' best allies in treatment. Number 3, an eating disorder diagnosis is a health crisis that disrupts personal and family functioning. Number 4, eating disorders are not choices, but serious biologically influenced illnesses. Number 5, eating disorders affect people of all genders, ages, races, ethnicities, body shapes and weights, sexual orientations, and socioeconomic statuses. Number 6, eating disorders carry an increased risk for both suicide and medical complications. Number 7, genes and environment play important roles in the development of eating disorders. Number 8, genes alone do not predict who will develop eating disorders. And I think the final one that I think is really important to emphasize is that full recovery from an eating disorder is possible. Early detection and intervention are important. Back to you, Jessica.
Thanks so much, Amanda. And I'm going to ask you the same thing. How do you practice loving yourself or others?
So how I practice loving myself, I really like to do kind of like a spa night sometimes. I'll do my nails and all of that kind of fun stuff. So yeah.
That's fun. That's what I'm doing tonight. The Valentine's stuff is coming off.
Maybe I'll be coming over.
Sounds good. Thanks, Amanda. Last but not least, we are going to hear about teen dating violence and our self-care corner from Sherry. Hey.
Hi. So today I'm going to be talking about teen violence. Physical violence is when a person hurts or tries to hurt a partner by hitting, kicking, or using another type of physical force, not limited to aggressively holding your hands or pulling you around forcefully. Sexual violence involves forcing or attempting to force a partner into sexual acts or touching without their consent. This includes situations where the partner is asleep or not in a conscious state of mind. Also includes non-physical behaviors such as sharing sexual images or sexting without consent. Psychological aggression is using verbal and nonverbal communication with the intent to harm mentally or emotionally to obtain control over a partner. This can be done over a period of time and not even noticed. Stalking is repeated, unwanted attention and contact by a current or former partner, which inflicts fear and safety concerns. Teens often think that teasing and name-calling are normal parts of a relationship. These behaviors can become abusive and develop into serious forms of violence. Sometimes for teens, it can be their first time in a serious relationship. So without having experience, you may not know what is right and what is wrong. If someone makes you feel bad about yourself, it isn't a good thing. Teen dating violence can happen to any gender or any relationship. Usually the partner being hurt thinks it isn't that bad or that they can help the other person change. You may start experiencing depression and anxiety, start smoking, doing drugs, or drinking alcohol, thoughts of harming yourself, or thoughts of suicide. If you are leaving an abusive relationship, give yourself some time to heal. Some self-care would be seeking professional help through a counselor or doctor. Learn about prevention and creating safe spaces through the CDC publications. There are many articles through the CDC or Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Examples include teen dating violence, intimate partner violence prevention. Teen newsletter through the CDC has many different topics pertaining to teen violence. About intimate partner violence, intimate partner violence prevention, and many more. These are all current publications dating fall of 2024 to February of 2025. Educate yourself and enjoy your youth. Stay warm, and back to you, Jessica.
Thank you. So last but not least, how do you practice loving yourself or others?
I like to start out in January and make all of my wellness appointments for my teeth, my eyes, and my physical from my doctor so that I can get that all done and out of the way. And usually I end up doing a lot of the appointments in February, so it's self-love.
Sounds good. Well, I'm going to bring everybody back on the screen. We are going to end our broadcast. We appreciate you joining us today. And we hope you check out some of our past broadcasts and possibly join us again in March. We'll be celebrating, St. Patrick's Day. All right. Thanks, everybody.